Everybody. Welcome to this webinar on Spiral Pod 2. I'm Hamish Kennedy, and thanks for taking time out of your busy day to join this webinar. I'm going to spend the next 40 minutes on the major features, new features that we have made to Spiral, focusing on a live activity and quickfire. And if we have time, I can touch on the other activities. You can ask questions throughout, and I'll try to answer them as we go along. I would like to do this as a demonstration with myself as the teacher and you on the call as students. If we can all join in, then we can see the class experience of the new software. My main screen will act as the class whiteboard, and on the right, I will keep a window open so I can point out some student features we have added. Okay. So if you could all open up a new window or a tab or use your phone so you can see my screen as well as yours. So I'll leave you just a moment just to maybe grab your phone or to open up as I've done here, an incognito window that enables me to log into Spiral and to use my teacher account as well. Normally students would be using a Chromebook or tablet in full screen. So my window here will have a few restrictions during the demonstration. Okay, what we're going to do is to dive first of all into a quickfire light. So as per normal, you would press go, okay, and pick a class. You'll see here there's a new welcome screen, but the process is still the same. You visit gospiral.ac and you join this quickfire light using this code. So that's what I'm going to do in my student window here. Okay, so I enter the code, log on as a guest. Okay, and I join the activity. Okay, that's me in. Okay, would anybody like to join me in my class? That'd be really handy. Okay. The intention for quickfire light is to get students to respond to a verbal question as quickly as possible, so you can use light without losing the pace of a lesson. Firstly, can I ask you to tell me, using your device, with a yes or a no, whether you have used Spiral, say, more than 5 times? Okay, so I'm going to answer my question on my student device, okay, and submit it. And if you could submit yours as well, that would be great. Okay. Going to reveal the answers now. Okay. Okay. So what I'll do is I'll make sure I pitch this as I was going through the product with a new teacher and user. Okay. Okay. So now I'm going to ask a fact-based question. And remember, this is a verbal question. You just ask the class the question. Okay. You click on ask another question, and you then ask any type of question. This could be an opinion, it could be an actual factual question, or it could be just getting the view of the class. So I'm going to ask the question, name an ocean. Okay, I press go. I would like you to just answer the actual name of the ocean. And submit your answer. Okay, so let's reveal the answers. Oh, you can quickly see the same answers by border color. We hope when you are getting more than 30 answers from students This will enable you to quickly spot any misconceptions or differences of opinion. We have still kept the anonymous feature so students feel safe in answering. If you wish, you can reveal names and mark correct. This will automatically mark all the same answers correct. As you can see, it will also ping each student's device with a star notification. You could ask students to improve their answer. Just a note that this will ask the students that have answered the same to improve their answer as well. The random button will select one student's answer at random to highlight so you can follow up with the student's response. The exit ticket is a new feature we have introduced to measure student contribution and performance for formative assessment. It shows a running total of questions asked, how many of the students have answered the questions, and a percentage of the class that got the question right. You don't have to mark student questions correct if it's not a correct or incorrect based question and answer. Each student will have a running total of their results on their own computer. They can also tell you through a quick traffic light system whether they have actually understood the learning. Let's resume the session. I can now ask another question for you. What spiral activity, quickfire, team up, clip, or discuss do you use? And I'm sorry for the person who's just become a new user. And which activity would you like to know more about today? So please give me your answers now. So quickfire, discuss, clip, or team up. Forgot even to answer myself. Okay, I can now reveal the answers. Okay, and we have 2 for quickfire, team up, clip, and 2 for team up. Okay, I'll try and cover quickfire and I'll try and cover a bit of team up as well. Okay, at the end, we finish the quickfire. Now this is a low stakes formative assessment. I probably don't need a detailed exit ticket with data on each student's answer. The point of a quickfire light is to be able to launch this really quickly and for students to be able to respond in just a couple of minutes so you can keep pace with the lesson. For a more formal quickfire, more like a quiz that you can ask the class, we've separated quickfire out from quickfire light. And let me show you what we have done to it using an example that I prepared earlier, or mostly prepared earlier, just to save time. For those that know Spiral already, this is quite a different welcome page from your existing quickfire. So what I'm going to do is show you how it's different. Okay, the biggest difference we have is we now have different question formats that you can prepare and the students can answer. Let me just give you a brief description of what these are about. I can do an open question, which the students can answer using an opinion that necessarily doesn't have no right or wrong. I can ask a closed question where there is a right answer or several right answers that you can then put in the choices and answer. I could conduct a poll, again, not right or wrong, but just to gauge the opinion of the whole class. I can choose a multiple choice question, okay, where there is an actual correct answer that each student has to answer to get a correct mark. We also have retained our drawing tool to be able to draw and be able to post that drawing back to you to show on the whiteboard. We've also got our annotation option as well. And lastly, we've added an audio function, and that enables the student to be able to record using a computer mic or a mic from a set of headphones that you can play back on the whiteboard speakers. And I'll show you how that works in the live activity. Okay, so now we're going to actually go from planning. Let me just add one thing to the planning. It's how to create a question. Okay, so I just create a question. I can ask is how many people live in Africa? Okay, and I can select what type of question I want that to be. I'm going to pick a closed question in this case, okay? And I'm going to say, is it 1.2 billion or is it 700 million? I can save that question and that gets added to the bottom of the question bank. I could move that question up if I wanted to and put it there. I can also add multiple questions. So if I have a Word document or I just want to go to the internet, find some questions, copy them, I can then put them and paste them into the multiple questions. Once I add those questions, it will populate the left-hand question basket. I now have three choices. I can dismiss any changes and just quit this activity and it won't be recorded into my planned activities on my dashboard. I could save it as a lesson plan because I might want to use this particular lesson with several different classes. Or I can click the save and assign and that will bring up my classes. Okay, or I could then add a class either manually and name it, or I could import from Google Classroom a number of classes that I have on my roster. I'm going to pick this class, which is our class we're using today. Now, I can either make this into an assignment, and I'll show you how to do that in a bit, but that sets this activity for the students to complete on their own, either in the class or at home. I could set a due date for it to be finished, or even a time if it's to be half an hour from now. So what I'm going to do is I'm now going to launch this activity. Again, it's the same process as before, but because you're already logged in, what you can do is click under your name, look under classes, okay, and join the activity. Okay, let's just do that again. Just click under classes and join this activity, which is world population facts. Okay. Just to note is that students can join Spiral at any stage during an activity. So if they haven't begun the activity and they come in halfway through, or they maybe they've got problems with their computer and they can't get on the internet, whatever it is, at whatever stage during the activity, once a student actually logs into that activity, they'll just catch up where the rest of the students have been. Okay. So I'm going to launch this activity. Okay. And again, this was the open question. Let's still have a go at answering that. Okay, that's cool. And what I can then do is I can reveal the answers. Okay, I can pick a particular answer that's really good, or I really like the definition of. Okay, and then I can reveal that, okay, and expand it and ask Matthew
say, that's a really interesting answer. Could you tell me anything more about the inhabitants of a country that you know about? I could give it a star if I think it's a great comment, okay? And I could then show the names of the people. So before that, the last part had answered. It was anonymous, so everybody felt safe in answering. There's a couple of other controls we've got during this process, which is to set a timer. So I can set a timer on how long the students have got to answer the question. I can also, while I'm at this particular stage and the students have the ability to edit, I could lock their devices so they could concentrate on the whiteboard and not go back and redo their answer. Okay, I'm going to go into teacher-led and exit ticket in just a second. Okay, so let's do the next question format. Okay, so let's go into the next question, which is what is the meaning of population? I do apologize, I've gone back one, that's my fault. There are roughly 7 billion people in the world today. Which diagram shows the correct distribution of population? Now what you can do here is, because you uploaded an image, you can then expand that image so all the class can see it from the whiteboard. As a student, I can also expand it in my device as well. Whoops. Okay. Now, because this has a closed answer, I would get an automatic star because Spiral has automatically marked my answer. As you can see at the bottom, the gauge is showing those answers and which ones have answered correctly. I can now reveal the answers. And we can see that this was not marked correct. The reason for that is that Spiral only can identify whatever the answer format was. And I put a small c into the answer format, but I can go back very quickly and correct that answer. I can see that two students in the classroom came out with A. I can find that that might be a misconception that I need to address. If I wish as well, I could show the names, okay, and go and speak to Gillian and Matthew about why they thought that A was the answer and correct them. At this stage, I could then let the rest of the class to actually continue by themselves if I so wished by clicking this teacher-led button. Now this allows the students to actually complete the activity at their own pace. I will then be able to go back and review all of their answers in the same way that I can review the answers from the teacher-led teacher-led process. Okay, at this stage, I also want to have a look at the exit ticket in a little more detail. Again, there's 8 questions I'm going to ask. At the moment, I've received 25% of those. Okay, and the overall performance is 8% of those that have actually got it correct. Again, the students are able to feed back and saying, I'm finding this actually difficult, or I'm finding this easy, or I just need a little more practice. I can then resume the session, okay, and then ask another question. Again, this is a different format of question. What is the current world's population? Again, it's got a choice, okay, and I can submit my answers, and you can see the answers coming in the bottom. As a student, I know that I've actually got the right answer. Again, once I reveal the answers, it will show how many of the class have actually got that particular answer right. I can now ask another question, okay? What is the population of Africa? And this is the one we prepared earlier, which was a closed question, and one of them was going to be correct. Again, we submit. Again, we can reveal the answers. We could show the names of those that selected the particular answers. Again, I could pick out random.
Maggie and ask her why she thought it was 700 million. Okay, so I'll ask another question. You can also select the questions from the left hand, and actually you can push this out if you wanted to see the questions which you've asked. Okay, and let's do a little multiple choice one. Okay, again, which has the largest population, Asia or Africa? Okay, we then submit our answers, and again, we can see that the whole class has got it right. Now, I'm just going to show you quickly about the audio, and I'm going to do this myself because it's quite difficult on a webinar to be able to run this. Now, here's the idea: is that you'll see in the student device, okay, they have a little ability to be able to record their voice. And what I can do is record the voice, and you can see the little green thing going up and down, which is telling the student that this is working. I can then stop it, okay, and then I can submit it. Okay, now this is now on the whiteboard. Now, just because of the way the webinar works is that I can play this, okay, and I can hear this myself, okay, but you won't be able to hear it at your end of the webinar. But trust me, is that when you play this back on the whiteboard speakers, is that each individual student's voice and sound will be able to be heard. And you don't have to use it just for a voice or just for languages. You can get them to play any sound that they like, whether it's music, okay, or it's science experiments or anything like that. Okay, so those are all the different formats of the types of questions that you can get now in Quickfire. I'm going to ask at this particular point whether anybody has any questions that they would like to ask, and you do that by actually just typing in into the question box any questions you've got on Quickfire itself. I can answer any of these questions at any stage and come back to it. Okay, I'm now going to finish the Quickfire. Okay, now I can either do one of two things. I can either extend it. Now let's say I haven't finished all of the questions and I want the students to complete those questions in their own time. I can just press extend and it will give me a due date for that to be completed by. I can also do this as well, okay, from the actual this particular panel as well. So I can again set a date for them to complete that for my next session, for example. Okay, so on the exit ticket, I can see by the list of questions those that got it right, and maybe for those particular questions that I can see that the students didn't pick up on as a class, and I can see which students didn't, and I can then assign those students maybe to do the test again or to do some further reading. Now, the way I can do that is I can list by student. Okay, I can see Gillian's answers, and I can then leave some feedback, okay, for her to read or watch a video, and give Gillian a link to that video if I need to. Okay, I can submit that to Gillian, and Gillian on her student device would actually get a message from me on her portfolio. Okay, so let's just leave Hamish a message. Okay, okay, I can submit that to Hamish. Okay, and in my mark book, okay, for this lesson, in fact, actually just 1 second, is I need to do one other thing. Is I need to be able to publish this to my students. Okay, so they get the results that they've done. They get a copy of my comments, okay, against that presentation. Okay, and these are all the ones that I've done before. In addition, I get a grades table. Now this grades table is replicated into my student and class dashboard, where I keep all the marks for my spiral activities. I can export all of these grades tables into a CSV file and to other formats that you might use at your school. In addition, I can share this assignment with my students, okay,
and my students will be able to get that assignment on their device in their assignments. There you go. So I could start and do that activity again. And there you go. That's quickfire, the main quickfire quiz, which we've revamped both in design, both in question formats, and both in the way that answers are either given, but also how answers are also marked. And I hope that you'll find that's a vast improvement. Okay. Now what you've asked to do is to do a team up. Okay. So in the team up, I do a plan. Okay. And I can create my teams. Okay. I can give it a title, which is webinar. Okay. The objective is to listen and learn. Excuse my spelling. Okay, and then I add some teams. So what I need to do is assign a class to this. Okay, this is the class we've got. Okay, and here's everybody in this class. And here's some other teachers from a earlier session. So what I can need to do is I'm going to add Matthew to a team. I'm going to add Hamish to the team. And I'm going to add Maggie to the team. No, 1 second, Maggie, sorry. And Hamish into that team. And Gillian into that team. And Mac into the team. And Tracy into the team. And Guest into the team. Okay, so we've got one big team. Okay. Now what I can then do is I can launch this. Now on your device, okay, you'll see that I will be able to go to classes, okay, and I can join the webinar team up. Now what I'm going to do is just drag this across slightly because this is more of a student-led activity. So I need a bit more space to be able to do this. So for everybody who's familiar with Team Up, is I can add an idea, okay, I can get an image. Now just to let you know one thing on this new spiral is it's slightly confusing, I will admit, is that when you click image on everything from preparing, discuss slides, you click on the image and then click on the palette. And that will open up a new media manager that stores all of the pictures that, that you put into Spiral. You can also get pictures from Google Drive. Okay, I'll just pop on a block. Okay, I'll allow that. Okay, and I can get, I'm not going to do this because I'm in incognito mode, but just to let you know, is I can get images from Google Images from my own drive, okay, or I can actually upload the images from my computer. So at random, I'm just going to pick a particular image to upload, and on my palette, I can then drag it across. I can add some text and put in USA, for example. I can drag that around. I can improve its size. I can make it, I can make it bold. I can make it bigger. Okay, and I can then save that idea. Okay, so I'm just going to give you just a couple of minutes, okay, to just bring up any ideas, any pictures at random. It doesn't have to be particularly relevant. It's just to show the process of us doing it. Okay. Now, as a team, we've shared all of our palette together. So all of our devices have been linked together. And what we can do is that we can then drag those ideas, okay, into our slide deck and prepare our slide deck. So if you want to just drag that particular slide that you've got and put it into the slide sorter on the left-hand side.
Whoops, sorry. Okay, I'm just going to help some people get those. Yep, thank you. And okay, is anybody left who's going to just push their idea across into the slide sorter? Doesn't matter if you're not. Please tell me if you're having any issues in putting any ideas through the question box. Okay, so now at this point is we can tell the teacher as a team, okay, that we're ready to present. So we tell the teacher we're ready to present, and you'll see that the teacher, okay, has been told by the team that they're ready to present. And that gives that team, when they say they're ready to present, their ideas to the whole of the class. And so now the control of the whiteboard has been passed to the students, and that team can flick through that presentation. The rest of the class can comment on that presentation and give peer review. And when they've closed the presentation, it will then, the teacher can give it a mark, okay, and then close that presentation and then move on to the next team, etc., etc. The teacher can also, and I'm just going to again move this slightly back again, so it's now back to the kind of teacher being the main screen. So in conclusion on Team Up, is that it's a very student-led activity and let students get together. You can also see when by individuals, which individuals have actually made contributions to the actual Team Up, and it can show you by student which students have actually contributed to the presentation. Again, if you've given it a grade, it will give all of that team the same grade as a team. Okay, you can extend this as well and publish grades, and the students can work on this as a project, as an ongoing project over time. Okay, so that's Team Up. Now, it's now 4:30, okay, but that's good. So we've got just a few minutes left for me to just cover off discuss. Okay, so discuss is, we've made a few changes, not a huge amount of change, but if you're new to Spiral, I can show you the principles behind discuss. Now, I'm going to edit this particular presentation, and I'm just going to delete the slide and show you how to add slides, the one I did earlier. Okay, so here is a presentation that we have on frogs. Okay, I can flick through the slides and look through them. Now, I've imported this slide deck from Google Drive. So I can import slides, I can import PowerPoint, I can import PDFs. And this is from actually a PDF. And it then divides it up into individual slides. Now I want to add a slide to this slide deck. So I go to add a slide, and then I can get an image again from my bank. I can upload that image into this slide, increase it, I can add text, and I can move it around. Okay. Now I can ask a question. So what I've done in the first, and I'm just going to move that little slide up to where it should be in the deck. And up to the top. Okay. And you'll see in the first slide, I've got a question which I've added, which is what animals have different mummies?
Now what I can do is same sort of pattern before, is I can save that as a lesson plan. I can save and teach and assign. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the same thing, okay, teach my class and launch it. Okay, I do the same drill with me. I look at my classes. I can see that there's activity and I can join it. Now, I'm going to press go, okay, and again, the students are able to ask questions against your PowerPoint slides. Okay, so I can just then answer that. Okay, I can submit that. Okay, and if you are still able to do that, please do that. Okay, and I can then reveal the answers in the same way. Now, that's the standard way of using Discuss. But there are two other big scenarios that a lot of our teachers use Discuss for. So the other one is to use Discuss with its presentation as a way of note-taking. Okay, so if I present the slides, the students can take notes. Okay, and okay, and I'll just use this example. Okay, and I then submit. Okay, this now. If I don't want students to take notes, okay, I can just lock their answers. Okay, but the beauty about the notes, I'll show you at the end when we exit the Discuss. Okay. Now the third case scenario is this: is that I can comment on someone else's remark, and once I've submitted that, it then appears as a comment in Gillian, and you can comment against anybody's remarks, but you can only comment once you have actually submitted your own comment. Now, what the user case for this is that once I see the comment, okay, I can see that Hamish has actually made a comment. And as a teacher, what I can do and go, this is an interesting comment. This is an interesting comment. Can everybody comment on Mac's comment? And you can go, great comment. And you can then submit that comment, and that will then appear underneath that. And what we found is that a lot of teachers use this for peer review. So when students upload a piece of work, a sentence, or something that an opinion, then other students can comment against that opinion from the teacher's choice of which comment they want to do. Okay, now I can then just continue with this presentation and go through each slide one by one. Again, the students either have their locked devices, so you'll just want them to concentrate on the actual PowerPoint themselves, or actually to let them take notes if they want to. At the end of the Discuss, okay, once I've finished it, the interesting point, apart from the actual data you get from the exit ticket, is the actual student and what they've got out of it. So they've got a set of your actual slide deck, but also they have their notes against your resource, matching the two together rather than just their notes and you keeping your resource. This puts those whole two things together. Now there we go. That's a very quick whiz around Spiral. I will be doing some more webinars. There's will be some videos available for detailed instructions. But we hope we've made Spiral simple to use, and it gives you all of the key learning activities that you might want to use with your students. Last one probably to mention that we didn't go through is Clip, which is like the others, but effectively using a video that you can source and add questions to, and students can answer using their device by watching the video and it pausing at certain points and asking particular questions to show that they are being attentive. Okay, let me just go back to my control panel. Is there any questions I can see? Okay, I've got a question here which is asking about pricing. What I can do is, if you put in your question who you are, I will send you an individual pricing sheet. But basically the pricing is this, is that for every teacher, it is $50 per year to use with all your classes, with all your students, as many times as you like, and with as much content as you want to actually import into Spiral. But there is bulk discounts for breaks of 10, 50, 100. So I'd be very happy to share with you, Chris, the pricing list. Does anybody have any more questions? Okay, thank you, Christy. Mine isn't loading any pictures. Okay, Christy. Okay. Do these grades automatically filter into Google Classroom? They don't, but that's something we are going to work on. It filters into a CSV file, okay, which can be exported. I was at Google yesterday actually, and I think that they just kind of announced their kind of marking system. They do have a set of links that we can connect with, and so we'll now be working on making sure that they will go in directly into Google Classroom. And I think the last question is, see, quick Firelight, if you give a student correct star, it can be added up for them to get a total reward. That's correct. It will, every time you actually give them a star, it then shows on their individual portfolio the stars that you've given. Now, if you don't publish them to the students, then the students won't get that as an actual mark and put into their mark book. You have to kind of publish it, because you might decide that actually you just want to give a star because it's a nice comment, but actually it's not something that you want to record. So the choice is yours of whether you record it and publish it to students and put it in the mark book or not. Okay, let's just see if there's any more questions. Okay. Do you connect with Schoolology? Again, that's I think an LTI that we are just about to complete for Schoolology and for PowerSchool and for other Canvas and other learning management systems. But we can do that again on request. Okay, I think I've answered hopefully all your questions. The way the questions are sort of formatted here is I can see. I think I've continued to upload an image instead of just open response in Quick Firelight. No, it's just text in Quick Firelight. And okay, that's cool. I think I've answered all your questions. Please email me. There's an email address in the webinar if you have any more questions. I will send you just a follow-up email personally with the answers to all of your questions. And I'd like to thank you all for joining this webinar. We will be posting some more webinars. And as I said, if you've got any questions, please use the contact form, which you can see in the form to just contact us, okay, and to just send us an email and we will answer any of your questions as quickly as we can. So there you go. Thank you very much indeed for joining me. It's been a delight, and I wish you a pleasant day if you're in the US, and good evening if you're in Europe. Thank you.